Welcome. Take It Up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Ben Harris, who is head of sales productivity, part of the sales enablement team at Outsystems. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jessica.
Outsystem has over 1,000 employees. You guys are growing because you make a platform for those software developers. Talk to us a little bit more. Explain what is it that you offer and some of the trends that you're seeing.
Absolutely. So as you said, OutSystems is a platform for application development for both internal applications that companies might use for their employees, web-based applications, or applications that their customers or partners might access as well. And so we're a platform holistically for that and much more.
Okay. And as you're growing and you're bringing in more salespeople, you're in charge of making sure that they are thriving and achieving certain KPIs. Talk to us about some of the indicators that you look at, the leading indicators, the lagging indicators, and what matters.
Sure, absolutely. So from my perspective, sales rep productivity is really about not just the onboarding of the reps, but helping them to be successful long term. So we look at things like how long is it taking reps to get to their first closed deal? How big a pipeline are they building? How long is it taking them to close their first large deal? How long is it taking for them to close their first new logo, a company that OutSystems hasn't worked with before? And a lot of those are the lagging indicators that happen when really good things happen at the beginning, like I'm building really solid pipeline, I'm contacting customers in the right way, I'm presenting the OutSystems platform in the right way, and those leading indicators lead to the results that we're looking for.
Okay, so tell us then, how do you help them to achieve a much shorter time to first deal or time to the big deal? What is it that you do to make a difference?
We have a really amazing enablement team. So it begins with, from the time that managers are interviewing, we help to kind of set up what the right things to interview and look for should be in the right people that we want to get on board, right? So everything that we do kind of feeds that loop. And so we have a consistent loop. But once we get the right people on board, we have a really solid enablement program already. And we're in process of building a mentoring program, a really structured mentoring program. So Jessica, if you've ever been in a mentoring program, a lot of times you end up, getting assigned a mentor assigned you, and maybe you get on a call and then you think to yourself, what should we talk about? It's kind of maybe a little bit awkward. So we have a really structured mentoring program that we're building out that will allow folks to know, what should I be talking about on a regular basis? So in their first 90 days, which is our real key time with a new hire, they're getting a lot of content. They're getting really solid on-the-job training through a mentoring program, as well as very structured pieces around pipeline generation, around deal coaching for a lot of their first deals to help them be more successful on those deals and so on.
Okay, well, this is a structured format, but how do you know that this really works? Do you have a way of gathering the data and make data-driven decisions as far as what content to invest further?
Right. I think without the data, the type of job that I'm in productivity makes no difference, right? You've got to really know that these things are taking hold and are helping folks. Otherwise, they're not productive. So we are just kicking off a lot of these programs. And so we don't have a lot of structure. We have the structure in place to get the data. We don't have the data yet, but I have done these types of things in previous companies that I've been with, right? And so I've seen when you implement things like this, you can get, increase a rep's productivity by 2 to 3x just by implementing some of these small things up front.
Okay, maybe you can share with us then, based on past experience, what have you done exactly to make a difference?
Sure. So again, it's about being very structured, right? So for example, in a mentoring program, a structured mentoring program, what you might want is at the very beginning, you want people to know how to effectively generate pipeline. If you wait 90 days to teach them how to do that, you've lost a whole quarter of potential productivity with new hires, right? And so what we do is we have them first do a lot of pipeline generation type of activities and modules, and demonstrate that knowledge through teachbacks to their mentor or teachbacks to myself and folks on my team like me. So we kind of start there. And then what we end up doing is very specific shadowing, right? So I'll have a mentee, a new person in the organization, actually shadow someone who's going on a first call and talk about what went well and what could have gone better. And then shadow someone else who went on a second call. Not only are people getting kind of the techniques down, but they're also learning from a lot of different people who are already successful, right? Who already have shown success doing these things. And so to me, a lot of it is just about being very purpose driven with everything that you're going to do. So start with generating pipeline, and then move to discovery and qualification, and then move to, kind of through a standard sales process, right? And move through all the steps. And then eventually you get to a point where, in the first 90 days, hopefully a rep is either really close to closing their first deal, or maybe I've seen it even occasionally already close their first deal because they followed the process.
Okay. I was thinking about, okay, you've got things that you should be doing, but there are probably things that you shouldn't be doing. Maybe you can share with us tips on that what you've seen in other organizations, things that they've been doing that you would say this is not best practice at all. Like, don't do that.
I think people do a really good job in this kind of world at building the programs and structures and things that need to happen. We're building really good training. But what we forget is, what about all the other things that hit a sales rep's time, right? So, for example, we forget about automating the processes, right? Sales reps have to do deal reviews with their manager. Every company I've ever been at, right? That's part of what they do. And if you don't help a rep to automate that, to kind of get that going in a very easy way, it becomes just extra work, right? So then they're putting stuff into the CRM, and they're duplicating that in a deal review, and then they're duplicating it over here in a forecast. And so you have to find a way to automate all of these things. And that is really when you tie together that efficiency, then, and plus everything else we've talked about, that's where you really get to that sweet spot of productivity.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's a great example of how you need to remove the friction so that you're not wasting their time doing research, putting reports together. They should really spend that time kind of prospecting activities, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think content is another area where I find that some companies haven't made it so that content is readily available at the fingertips for the sales rep to use when they are prospecting. They need to share valuable information, right? And salespeople end up having to go in and just like research where's that PDF, or where's that case study, or where's that ROI asset that we have. So just having content at their fingertips, or even suggesting, I think about bite-sized content that has been somehow intelligently monitored and then served to the sales rep is another way.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And so having the right tools in place to do that, right? At Outsystems, we have HighSpot currently, and it's a great system that allows us to do a lot of things with content, and including serve content up to our customers and customize that for our customers when we're delivering it to them. So I think the right tools, tying together the tools and the content at the right place and the right time are crucial. I totally agree.
Okay, Ben, one of the challenges is actually measuring the impact of your sales enablement work, tracking that so that you can actually see the results, and then take that ROI and justify further investment, whether it's in more staffing or in tools. Talk to us about that. How do you actually measure and track and justify more investment?
I think there's a well-known model out there. It's called the Kirkpatrick model. And it really takes, training and the activities associated with training, And it walks through really four steps. Some people say five, but it's 4 steps of how do we show that training led to productivity. And it's a famous model. You can find it online if you look for Kirkpatrick model. It was created a longer time ago, like the 1960s, by a gentleman by the name of Kirkpatrick. And so he really has 4 steps to measuring training effectiveness. And so the first step is the reaction that the people have to the content and the training, right? So do they like the content? Did they like the training? And you can do that with a simple survey, right? You just survey folks on the content, on the training. Did they like it? That's level 1. Level 2 is, did they actually learn something? So generally to apply that to our organization, we'll do testing, or we'll have folks record they're giving the pitch or something and reviewing it, right? So it's first reaction and then learning. And that's where most organizations kind of stop. We're like, they like it and they seem to learn something, so we're good. But they're really only getting halfway through the Kirkpatrick model. So the next piece of the model is behavior. Are they actually changing their behavior because of the training or content that they've seen or received? And so that could be things like the pipeline generation. That could be things like, do we see them changing the way that they deliver the message, right? And that is usually tracked via some sort of review with management or some sort of skill will type assessment with a manager or with someone else. And then the final piece is the results, right? So if you've learned and you liked it and you learned and you changed your behavior, then is that also leading to the actual results, like people hitting their numbers, people doing the things that you want them to do, getting the right mixture of sales in their numbers. And so if you do all of this right, and it's a really straightforward model, it's pretty cool. And I've been familiar and advocated for it for a long time now. I think it's really the go-to for any type of enablement, L&D training type work like this.
So I take it that you've been able to convince management to invest further in building out the sales enablement team and also the tools for.
Yes. We have, for the size of our sales organization, we have a fairly large enablement organization right now compared to many organizations I've been at. And that is because historically they've been able to prove these types of things, right? And when you can put numbers and real dollars behind it, you're going to get the resources you need, because that's how you prove it. Just like we would do as salespeople, if we would do that with our customers, we would want to show real dollars that they can save, right? Real ROI that other customers have received. And if we do that same type of thing and have that same mentality internally, you'll get what you ask for most of the time.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing more content from you after you've implemented this program at Outsystems for a while. Come back and tell us the stats. So last question for you. What are you looking forward to doing in the next couple of quarters?
What am I looking forward to doing? Well, we've got kickoff next week. I'm looking forward to getting through kickoff. And I would say really the most fun part of my job is helping reps, new reps especially, but any reps in their opportunities, not just fly on the wall with training, but actually getting into the weeds and helping reps figure out the right questions to ask and the right things to do. That's what gets me excited, helping them be successful. And that's what I expect to do the next 3 to 6 months.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being on the show, Ben, to talk about Outsystems and sales enablement. Thank
you, Jessica. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
There you have it. Check it out with Jessica Lee, Ben Harris from Outsystems.